Hello everyone, it's Shane Kanto, your Wasteland reviewer, and here's my review for Batman The Long Halloween Part 2. We're back, round 2, after I think about a month since the first part released, and I got to rent this on Vudu, and got to check out this film, and this is from director Chris Palmer, based off of Jeff Loeb's classic Batman graphic novel, The Long Halloween. And now we're left with Batman still trying to figure out who this holiday killer is. Things start off, he's in a bad spot. He's been basically brainwashed and seduced by Poison Ivy, Katie Sackhoff. Great addition to this cast. Jensen Ackles is Batman and Bruce Wayne, and he has to get out, and Catwoman helps out, and then we're back in business trying to figure out who's doing all these murders. You have the big super villain kind of aspects of the story because you have Scarecrow, you have the Mad Hatter, you have Calendar Man, you have Solomon Grundy, who's a very interesting addition to this. And then you have the mob aspects of like Carmine Falcone, who Titus Welliver is fantastic as in both of these films. And you just there's such a great vocal cast here. You 100% know John DiMaggio is playing the Mad Hatter. But really, Josh Duhamel really stands out as Harvey Dent here, especially when he makes that heel turn into Two-Face. And the whole build up to that moment, and it worked so well, and it was so perfectly iconic as it is at that moment where he gets that acid thrown on him, and then you get to see him in all of his glory. I have to say the climax of this, and then parts throughout, there's a lot of moving pieces here and a lot of antagonists, the Rogues Gallery is on full display in this movie. And in the first one, and even more in this one, and especially as you get to the climax of this film, there's so many, Penguin and Joker and Scarecrow and Mad Hatter and Poison Ivy, Solomon Grundy, Two-Face, whoever the holiday killer is, which is an interesting mystery along the way that I still felt very engaged on. I felt like it went too far in terms of trying to use too many villains here. And the climax was absurd. There's just so many of them. But you have this mystery throughout, and I love the mob aspects of this particular story. And they did it so well, and the intrigue between the different mob families and the different members of this family. Batman's one of the least interesting parts of this, but I do appreciate, Bruce Wayne's involvement with the Falcone family makes some added layers here. But there's a lot of great characters along the way. And, you have Lila Berzins, who plays Sophia Falcone, who's a great addition to this. And she has some great moments with Carmine. And the story is mysterious. There's twists and turns. It's a strongly animated film. It has a very distinct look to it. Everybody with their immaculate jaws, and all the men with their immaculate jaws, and basically women have two shapes in this. If you're an Italian woman, you're big. If you're not, then you are slender. And which is an interesting choice here as an Italian American, I noticed. And you have all these different aspects with Batman and Catwoman and Two-Face, and Harvey Dent's really the big part of this, and I think it's a great arc that you get to see through this. I felt like there's more urgency and more impact in the second half than the first half. I enjoyed the second half more. There's definitely some scenes where might be interesting. There's some scenes where it's there's a lack of music, and I felt like it was missing. You don't always need music. Look at No Country for Old Men. You don't really need any of it. But something about some of those scenes where there's a lack of music, there seemed to be a lack of drama added into it and felt a little flat. But in general, I think this hits on a lot of great points. I think this is an interesting story. I think it's a great build off of the first half. It has a satisfying and interesting mystery about it. It has some great action. It has, if you're a Batman fan, has tons of Batman villains. So, but if you're really thinking from a narrative perspective, like, there might be a little too many. Do we really need all of them? Did we really need the Mad Hatter? And, like, probably the most random one's Penguin. Like, did we? But, he's there. But a great vocal cast and some surprising heart and interesting storylines from the mob side of things in this film make this a worthwhile animated feature. So go check it out. And the first one, obviously. But those are my thoughts on Batman The Long Halloween Part 2. Let me know what you think, and let's talk some movies. But thank you as always for tuning in and supporting your Wasteland reviewer.